Screens light up justice calling from sweet and cold and Great Lakes falling. Educating fools, real talk streaming. Truth and laughter, crime redeeming. Raise your glass to law and jest. Trials not just pain and stress. Teach the world, grind the gears. Through the humor, through the tears. Michigan draw cutting sharp like ice. Swedish fire burns, truth precise. Shot of whiskey, sip of gin. Rules of justice we begin. Raise your glass to law and jest. Trials not just pain and stress. Teach the world, grind the gears. Through the humor, through the tears. Bang the gavel, crack the screen. Courtroom chaos in between. Wine and laughter, we all bleed. Streaming trials, feeding need. Layers of law, peeling truth bare. Laughs flow wild, do we even care? Chip on shoulder, beer in hand again. Together on this shaky stand. Raise your glass to law and jest. Trials not just pain and stress. Teach the world, grind the gears. Through the humor, through the tears.
Just noticing how fat I was at the end of that. That was only August. I lost so much weight since then. Oh, I love the fire farting Norwegian dragon. I had to use it for you. I had to recreate it.
Yeah. I guessed that was the Norwegian fire farting dragon because
Yes,
you won't sneak up on that from behind.
Oh, did I freeze?
You're not frozen to me?
What happened?
I don't know. Dave boomered. And that is not entirely unusual. Here
I
it is again.
froze. Well, I'm on the right side of the screen this time, though. I don't know what happened. It was just all of a sudden, it was like, no, there we go. Okay.
You can do that. Well, that?
Wait. There we go. All right. We're professionals. It's only been a year since I've done this. But welcome, everybody. Welcome back. We are here for the afternoon of day one of the Michigan v. Christopher Schurr murder trial. We had opening statements this morning. We had a total of 3 witnesses. 2 of them said something about stuff. And then the third one was real preachy, but I liked him.
Yeah, I mean, he really didn't care who asked him the questions. He just tried to answer as best as he could.
He was so just like not excited, but just he was interesting. He was an interesting guy. I don't know how else to describe him. But yeah, so we had 3 witnesses. I'm not quite sure why they called the witnesses in the order that they called them. The first one was a friend of the victim that was with him the night before. The second one was the passenger, which makes sense to me because he also filmed. And the third one was the neighbor next door that had interactions with the officer, was like yelling at the officer and yelling at the guy, being like, you know, like a parent, you know, both of you stop fighting right now. I'm going to get my sandal out, you know, that sort of thing.
Yeah, and none of them really moved the needle for the prosecution for me. I mean,
no.
If they are trying to lay a foundation for something that comes later, but in all honesty, there really can't be that many witnesses. I mean, you have the people who saw it.
Yeah.
You have the ballistics guy, the evidence gathering guy, the first cop on the scene, and maybe two experts of some sorts. I mean, this should be maybe a 4-day trial.
Well, we have 1, 2.
Do you have the list?
I don't have the list. I'm just scrolling ahead. We have at least 3 more witnesses today, and all 3 of them look like cops.
Okay.
So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So we'll see where this goes. But we're gonna pick up this just after lunch break. This was like 2 hours ago or so. We're about 2 hours behind live trial, but we'll pick up here. We'll go from there. I did yell at them and say your audio is too low. We'll see if they listen.
Oh, so you did call the court?
I messaged the news media, not the court.
Oh, okay.
I let the pool camera guy know, like, hey, your audio is way too low. So we'll see if they tried to fix it during lunch at all. I did notice it was very loud. There was like some time before this when it was just the people chatting before the judge got there, and it was very loud. So maybe they upped it. That would be nice. And I almost started at, should I started at 1.5 or 1.25?
I mean, 1.25 would suffice, I think.
All right, we'll start it at 1.25. We'll go from there.
Yep.
Closed captionings, I think, is on as well.
Oh, crap. You got the first. Your audio disappeared.
Mine did?
For a bit.
Really?
Try to talk while this is up.
Okay, so if I can talk while this is going on?
Yeah. Yep. Now it's good. But yeah, you got the first. Folks over at my side, I wouldn't mind. It's not a requirement, but I wouldn't mind.
Hunter, H-U-N-T-R.
I'd like to take you back to April 4th of 2022. Were you living in the area?
Hang on. I just wanted to get this guy's name.
Sir, could you state your name and spell for the record, please?
Fred Hunter, F-R-E-D.
Fred Hunter.
Hunter, H-U-N-T-R.
I'd like to take you back to April 4th of 2022. Were you living in the area of Nelson and Griggs in the city of Grand Rapids?
Yes.
Did something unusual happen outside your house that day?
Is this too fast?
Yeah. Some did.
Could you tell, how did you first become aware of it? What were you doing and what drew your attention to it?
Pretty much I had just got home. I worked third shift, so I'm kind of just like half asleep still. But my dog was barking and whatnot, so I checked the front door. And when I checked the front door, I see the officer and Patrick kind of like chasing each other running around.
This is the neighbor across the street, I bet. The one with the ring cam. I bet you that's who this is.
So when you give it a little bit better description, when you look out your front door, do you see them running or are they struggling? What exactly were they doing?
They were like running across the yard, like between my yard and like the yard next door.
All right. So what do you do upon seeing that?
I'm thinking of just kind of like throwing issue or whatever, so I didn't think it was that big of a deal, so I kind of walked away. And we're not, and then I didn't come back until I heard like a gunshot, so I checked the front window. And when I checked the front window, that's when I saw the officer kind of standing over Patrick, but Patrick was just laying up like a sword.
So when you see him running, you don't go out, you don't look any further?
No, not that I recall. I just went back to my bedroom. I think I was laying down for a second, and then I went back out after a gunshot.
So what, did you hear anything going on outside your house?
No, I didn't hear anything until my dog started barking until I opened the door. So I opened my main door, but the screen door is still there, so it's locked, so I can't really hear anything.
So you didn't hear anything going on outside? You didn't hear any talking between the two or anything along those lines?
No, I didn't.
When you went back inside, even after that, when you went back further inside, what did you hear when you went further inside?
After I left the first time, nothing really. Nothing until I heard the gunshot, and that's when I went and checked the window. So.
Okay. So you heard a gunshot. So you didn't hear any talking, anything outside. Next thing you heard was a gunshot.
Yeah.
And you went to check your window, and what did you see?
I saw the officer standing over Patrick. He was still kind of like standing on his gun. Whenever Patrick was already laid down. So
Did you do anything at that point in time?
at that point,
Yeah.
I mean, I just kind of looked at a little shocked and I just kind of walked away, really.
You never called 911. You did anything beyond that?
So
Did you ever hear anything about a taser or anything at any point in time?
I mean, I heard something about a taser in the videos and whatnot after they posted on social media that it's possibly a taser, but
You didn't hear at the time.
at the time, I don't remember. Like I said, I don't remember a taser or not. So long ago.
So it's been 3 years, so you kind of forgot. Because you remember testifying before, you remember testifying at prior hearing, said you heard something about a taser when you were standing inside your house.
Maybe there was, maybe there wasn't. I don't know.
But you don't remember at this point.
No.
You know, so nothing about a taser? Okay, sorry. I had to take a phone call. I missed this guy's entire testimony. What was up?
Yeah, I guess that was it. He saw the beginning. He went inside, heard the gunshot, got out, didn't hear anything.
Okay, so
And now you're frozen.
really critical witness.
Yeah, this was more the waste of, let's add on something. I don't know.
This seems okay. Let's see where this goes. I don't know.
You're frozen, by the way.
Yeah.
Am I frozen again?
Yeah.
Am I now?
Yep.
What the hell? All right, let me fix something. I'll leave this running.
Oh, now you're back. And now you're frozen again. And the image is frozen for me from the trial. The trial feed is frozen for me. You guys in the chat,
Is it frozen for everyone?
Is it frozen for anyone?
Is it just me?
Or is it just me? Right. The trial feed is frozen. Yep. Refresh the trial feed.
Huh. Well, I'm gonna have to leave and come back.
Yeah,
Damn it!
you do
What's
that.
going on?
Hey. And while Dave is out, I have started recording Judge Simpson's court days. Because Judge Simpson, you might know who he is. He's the older black gentleman who is very, very popular. But he also deletes his live streams when he starts a new stream or just deletes after he's done. So I've been starting to record it and started to put it up on my channel. So because it's...
Are you talking about Judge Simpson?
Yeah.
Judge
So I
Simpson
think
is
it's
awesome.
such a... he's awesome. And even if it's tenants court, if it's criminal court or whatever it is. So I have started recording and putting up his court days on my channel.
Nice.
And it seems like a lot of people who miss out. I mean, there are always clips out there with commentary, but sometimes people just want to see it without the commentary. And I have it on my channel.
I've practiced in front of him before, and it was very nerve-wracking, extremely nerve-wracking. If you guys get nervous when he's talking, when you just watch him on stream, imagine being in front of him and trying to argue a case. All right, is it working now for everybody?
Seems to work.
I shut down a bunch of other windows I had open. I think that was the issue.
So they had a witness up who had nothing to add.
Yeah, nothing.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Sir, could you state your name
We
and spell
don't
for the record,
have
please?
First name is Zachary,
voice of
Z-A-C-H-A-R-Y.
Denmark. We just took backwards right for the hours.
Zatchelor.
And what do you do for a living?
I am employed as a detective sergeant with Michigan State Police Audio and Video Analysis Unit.
And what are your responsibilities with the Michigan State Police Audio and Visual Analysis Unit?
So with the Audio Video Analysis Unit, I typically deal with anything pertaining to video or audio. Through the course of my employment with them, I started in this unit.
I think I spelled his name right.
Where I had to obtain a certain level of training through LEVA, Law Enforcement and Emergency Services Video Association.
where I became a technician, went through their first 3 core courses. And while currently employed with the state, I do export video off of DVR systems. I will attempt to clarify video images. I will create images from video.
Are we going to get enhanced
video?
Video?
Or if there's multiple sources, I will put them into one video file.
That's okay.
Fork.
We're not
You know,
monitoring.
there's some audio
As in
clarification.
spoon and fork.
Okay. Now, you talked a little bit about your background in terms of, you talked about LEVA. Can you go a little bit more in depth of what is this LEVA training? What is it? What did you have to go through?
Yeah, so through LEVA, the first 2 courses, each are individual courses. They are
I don't
a full
believe
40 hours.
enhanced videos should be allowed in court.
You do learn basics of like video enhancement.
Because the
video work,
initial
expert,
investigators did not have
different
access to
techniques of
enhanced video. And if
And after
they
you complete those the first 2 levels,
made up a
after
theory
you take
without enhancement,
tests and practical, then you become certified as a technician through that organization.
In terms of you have to pass a test to become certified, if you will?
Yes.
What sort of test is that?
There's a practical exam and there is a multiple answer question type exam.
And when were you officially certified through LEVA?
That was the early part of 2021.
So in terms of getting certified, after you get certified, what do your duties entail working for the state police? How do you get cases? Could you describe a little bit better for the jury what you do?
So as my employment through the state police and with this, I've done approximately 600 cases or just over 600 cases to date through the state police as my employment with this unit. And typically what happens, we will be contacted by a officer in charge of a particular investigation, and then they will ask us for assistance, whether it's like clarification of a particular individual on the video, whether it's a timeline that they're putting together for a courtroom demonstrative, if they need help exporting video, but usually we'll always start with the officer or a person.
See, this
involved in
is
the
where we need the
investigation.
1.5 speed stuff.
And if they contact you, what do you do then?
I will get the video from them, and then I will then start my process.
It does seem
Okay, so
louder,
does it
though,
depend on what
doesn't
they're
it?
looking for in each case? Each case is a little bit different than what they're looking for in the video or audio stuff, correct?
Yes.
Does the court feed seem
Now,
louder
as
to
you
you, Nick?
pass your certification in 2021, do you do anything to keep up to date? I mean, videos and technology changes. Do you do anything to keep up to date? Any additional training since 2021?
Yes, every 3 years through LEVA, we have to have approximately 80 hours of continuing education credits, just additional trainings that's pertinent to the field of audio and video. And at that point, we have to update our curriculum vitae and along with the certificates.
Did he
and
say
those have to be submitted
curriculum
to
vitae?
LEVA so that our technician, our technician certification can then be brought back into good standing every 2 years.
And you maintain that?
Yes, I have.
And you still
you
maintain
buy it at
certification
Ball?
with LEVA,
Yes, I
even at
have.
this day?
Correct.
Do you do any teaching yourself?
Yes, I will do some teaching at our.
can we skip
Our-
the CV? He will be admitted.
Yeah.
So I'll get those, I'll download those, I will hash those videos. And then
At least he's
depending
not
on
a pinch
the
and
task,
zoom guy.
for instance, in this task, it was to take those video files, those 3 sources, and they requested me to synchronize those into one video file so they could all be viewed on one video.
Oh,
at
so
that
he's the
point,
guy
we
that
used a
put
program
together
called
the
Okay. So
synchronized
before we get to that,
videos.
let's go through the individual.
The defense
videos you got.
exhibit A.
Please switch to our side, if you could, please.
But why are we calling him if that's already been admitted and stipulated to?
I have no idea.
So I'm going to just right now, so you can see it, you
Okay.
recognize this video.
Is it to
Yes.
fill out
What do you want
time
us to
and
do?
make the
That,
prosecution
is-
look like
or
they
I
have a
do
stronger
recognize
case?
that as the passenger side.
So, Malcolm, Chris Schurr is an ex-Grand Rapids police officer. In April of 2022, shot and killed a suspect while kneeling on his back, and the suspect was on his stomach on the ground. And he claimed self-defense because the suspect had the officer's taser at the time. And I'm kind of back and forth on this. I'm not sure he's going to be able to get to self-defense or not, but welcome to the stream, sir.
Yeah, as of now, I would have been closer to not self-defense with just the video than after 4 witnesses.
We're going to need some experts. We're going to need some testimony on the defense. Yeah, this is the fifth witness, and this guy doesn't even matter to me at this point. But right now, I'm leaning towards not self-defense. So we'll see where it shakes out. He was also reaching for his gun. Yeah, I know that was said in the opening statement, but
I haven't seen it.
We'll have to
yet.
see. The video is pretty bad, and if you, so this is our thumbnail, and this is the moment that he shoots, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, maybe he's reaching for the gun, but I don't know. I'm just not convinced there yet.
So this is a cell phone initial video you got. Correct. Exhibit 1, correct. We're going to switch to, we've seen this a couple times. I'll show you now people's exhibit 2. You recognize this?
Yes.
What do you recognize this as?
This is the dash camera video that I downloaded.
So the dash cam video from the car that was involved in this system.
Correct.
We haven't seen the full, so play that, Your Honor. Please.
I see PO. I always think probation officer. I don't think like prison guard. You guys got to do like PG instead of PO.
I'm going to stop right here real quick. You don't hear any sound for the first part of that. Can you explain to me why that might be?
It's my understanding there's a lag between when the lights are initiated and that's when the audio would kick on.
So there's just a little bit of a difference in terms of when you can see it, you can't hear it until the audio kicks on later.
I'm not 100% sure on how their system is set up, but I believe even with our camera systems that there's a delay from when it kicks on.
Nice. Great. Hey, stay in the car! Stay in the car!
Well, now we can see he has the lights on and everything, but when did it actually start? I'm not clear with this video when he actually put on the lights.
Yeah, I'm not either. That was another interesting. So Nick and I were critical of this driver who immediately got out of the car when the officer stopped him. Based on the testimony of witness number 2, the car was having issues, and the guy pulled over and got out of the car to check on the car. He didn't even realize the officer was behind him. So that puts a little different spin on this as well.
Yeah, because now, even now, looking at the beginning, if you go back from to where the video starts.
All right, let's watch this again.
Yeah,
there's a delay from when it kicks on.
Nice. Great.
Oh,
there.
maybe we can do that later.
Yeah.
Hey, stay in the car!
Now it's. I still say we are missing the first 10 to 15 seconds from the prosecution, and that's not a good sign.
We played it in our other stream. There is a full cut of this video.
Yeah.
In the car!
Because it looks like he just realizes, what? There's a cop behind me?
Yeah.
So he switched on the lights as he walked out of the car.
Yeah. So the first part of the video, the officer is just turning right. And then he comes up behind this car, stops, and then everything kicks in. Now the audio or the recording system starts 30 seconds before the lights turn on. So
where are those 30 seconds? I mean, there has to be a reason why the prosecution doesn't play it.
Yeah. We'll see if the defense plays it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, GG. We should put a banner up with that.
Yeah.
It was so the officer initiated the stop because the license plate didn't match that vehicle. The license plate was registered to like a Ford Focus and it's on a Nissan something. So that was the purpose of the initial stop. So the stop is justified. Nobody's questioning that. And
well, they haven't presented that he asked about the license plate.
no, but I don't think the prosecution is challenging the legality of the stop. At least
Yeah.
it wasn't really emphasized in the opening. I think the prosecution acknowledges that the plate was wrong and this was a justified stop. But then
Okay.
everything after that, they said it was bad.
Oh.
And don't forget what Lego Law says, guys. If I can find it. Here we go.
1950, turn front guard. 1950, what's your location?
Huh.
What's your location?
Yeah, that's the gist of it. Justified stop. Perp keeps resisting arrest and gets a hold of a taser.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, we haven't seen the body cam video in this trial yet. The body cam video is very damning for the state.
Yeah.
The gentleman standing by the car is the passenger. He was the second one to testify this morning. His video is really damning for the defense.
Yeah.
So that's why this is a total gray area. This is the best kind of trial because who knows, where the jury's going to come out on this. There's no clear-cut winners. I don't think if you're looking at this objectively, you could really say definitively one way or the other. If you saw the man on the porch in the white shirt coming out, that was witness number 3. Nick. Witness number 3 went back in the house. He wasn't there for the fatal shot. So he doesn't know. He can't testify to the crucial point. Remember, he was like, they were fighting over the taser, but I didn't see him fire it or anything like that.
Yeah.
He was already in the house when the shot was taken. So he can't testify to any of that.
No. And neither witness number 4 that we just saw, who says, I saw some commotion. I was in my house. I heard a gunshot and then walked out.
See,
And
that's the thing. So the defense emphasized in their opening statement that the suspect had the taser and was trying to use it on the officer, which you don't see in the videos, and none of the other witnesses are really able to testify about it, except for witness number 2, who's standing right there, but he's on the opposite side of the body. So the bodies of the officer and the suspect would be blocking his view. So it's going to come down to the officer testifying. That's what I say. We're going to see how credible he is. And if he's credible, he's going to get acquitted. That's my prediction.
Is it times on those three? It is. Thank you, 15. Oh, this is for the shooting. That'll be great. 1915, 10-4, Nelson agrees. Sorry, Michael. Thank you, 15. So Nelson, for the great, that's my boy. Subject down.
This is the dash cam from the patrol vehicle.
Nelson, North, great, suspect down. Thank you, 20, I've seen. 15, Roger, subject, the access to weapons, what do you think? Thank you, 50, that's my taser.
Witness number 3 is like, nope, going back inside. Yeah, there's a ton of video. There's 4 videos. We've seen 2 of them in this trial so far. Nick and I have streamed all 3 of the or all 4 of the videos, but so far there's only been this one and the cell phone video.
So that was the in-car video that you initially, that was the second thing you got in this case?
So after watching that, because it was a short in duration, that wouldn't have been the entire dash cam that I would have received at the very beginning. That would have been a shortened version where I had just brought it down more to the time of interest. I believe that was when the passenger was being ordered back by officers arriving on scene is when I stopped that, just to be more concise
So
with
this is the edited
synchronous.
portion after you got a longer video that
Correct.
goes a little bit beyond what we see here.
Correct.
Now I'm gonna show. This is exhibit 3 now.
Oh, the cameraman is all kinds of messed up, Matt.
You recognize
This
exhibit
cameraman
3?
is a
Yes, it's
disaster.
a body worn camera.
So this is, when you say body worn camera, this is a camera that's actually on the officer when it.
All right, so now we're going to see the body.
Play this since we haven't seen this.
This doesn't tell us much either because it malfunctions and falls off in the struggle.
Nelson, Corporate Grace, 13 Mall, 9367. Hey, stay in the car! Stay in the car! Stay in the car! Get in the car! Dude, I'm stopping you. You have a license? You have a license? What? I'm stopping you. You have a license? What? Do you have a driver's license? Do you speak English? Yes. Can I see your license? What? The plate doesn't belong in this car. Do you have a license or not? Do you have a driver's license? Yes. Where's it at? Get it for me. The plate does not belong in this car. No. Stop. Stop. Stop.
That would be resisting order.
Stop! Stop! Okay. Stop! Stop! Get your hands on your back, okay? Hands on your back! Get your hands on your back!
I don't think it's fair to play this at 1.25 speed. I'm going to back it up just so our audience can see it real time.
Yeah.
This is normal speed, guys. We're just restarting it. And then I'll jump it back up for the testimony.
No. Stop. Put your hands up. Stop. 1950. You gotta run it. Stop. 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 Okay. Stop. Get your hands on your back, okay? Hands on your back. Get your hands on your back. Turn into a car. Stop. Stop resisting. Let go of the taser. Let go of the
Now, in terms of this, you kind of edited the body cam video. Did you do any editing of this, or just the body cam essentially turn off at this point in time?
No, I did not do any shortening of the body cam
So
footage.
for whatever reason, the body cam turned off at this portion of the incident.
That's correct.
You didn't have anything more to show out of the body cam.
No.
Now, you talked a little bit about putting these things together. What did you do for that?
So in this particular request, I used AMP5, and there's a filter called multi-view, and I can create anywhere from I believe I can go up to 4, 5, 6 across and 4, 5 down. But in this case, because there was only 3 videos.
Okay, I just want to point this out. He says the word across with a T at the end of it. And my wife gets on me all the time. It must be a Michigan thing. I've been noticing it, and I've been trying to say across more often and not put a T at the end of it. But I got to back this up just for myself.
And I can create anywhere from I believe I can go up to 4, 5, 6 across and 4, 5 down.
See that? There's a T
But
there.
in this case, because there was only 3 videos, I did a multi-view of a 2x2, and then I used the software to bring those 3 sources into that filter to create. The body cam up top, dash cam on the bottom, upper right was the cell phone video.
Now, in terms of when you say, what is AMP5? Can you give maybe a little
AMP5 is a software that we use that allows us to do some enhancements.
I think they got him sure up. Did I realize that? It's not realizing he's up there. Outside right here.
It allows us to do to where I can create views like that. I can export sequential images, which in video, each frame is in essence a like its own like image. So I can tell it to go from A to B and export them all out. There are some enhancement features, clarification features in this particular request. I did export out multiple variations to this because in this software I can only utilize one audio source at a time. And then I've also created with just the body cam and the cell phone video side by side, minus the dash cam.
So specifically, this is Exhibit 4 now, and this contains which videos are in this one?
This is a body cam, the dash cam. I believe the cell phone will come up. The one, go ahead.
Go ahead. Now, when you talk about it, how do you sync it, if you will? They're all showing at the same time. Can you describe how you make it so they're all
So
at the same time?
there's multiple ways to do that. Like in this instance with the dash cam and the body cam, I used the encoded date and time on it. So I started them at the same point. And then when we got to when the cell phone was coming on, I attempted to find a sync point. You can use audio for that. You can look at events. Even one of them I used, once those two were synced on the left, it observed where it looked like a knee was coming off the ground in the cell phone and in one of those videos. So I was able to sync. It might not be 100%, but it's close. But the best viewing option outside of this is to watch those on their own. Would be the best, but for courtroom demonstrative, that's why we do these multi-views like this.
Why do you say it's best to do it watching each on their own? Why is that?
Because they would be full size, and like you get the actual video versus it going into these multi-views. It can kind of shrink them down slightly so that they can fit on the screen.
Right. But in terms of shrinking it down, it doesn't change the video necessarily. It doesn't do anything to the video. It's still the same video, it just makes it smaller.
Correct.
Now I'm going to play you to the courtyard.
All right, so this is the right, what is this? Oh, this is the two synced up. Yeah, unfortunately, we haven't had any jury questions yet.
Nelson, Corporate Breaks, all 937. Hey, stay in the car! Stay in the car! Stay in the car! Get in the car! Dude, I'm stopping you. You have a license? Do you have a license? What? I'm stopping you. Do you have a license? What? Do you have a driver's license? Do you speak English?
Yes.
Can I see your license?
Why not?
The plate doesn't belong in this car. Do you have a license or not? Do you have a driver's license?
Yes.
Where's it at? Get it for me. The plate does not belong in this car. No. Stop. Put your hands up. Stop. 1950. Go, run it. Stop.
Okay.
Stop. Get your hand up behind your back, okay? Hands behind your back. Get your hand behind your back. 1950. Turn to a car. Stop. Stop resisting. Let's go to taser. Let's go to taser.
Now, in terms of this, which audio were you using for this specific video?
I was using the body cam audio for that.
In particular reason you chose the body cam audio?
When I was asked for this request, I did something similar. I did just the body cam, and then on a different video, I did just the cell phone, and then on a different one, I synced them both together using a second program, Adobe Premiere Pro, where I was able to export the cell phone audio as its own audio file, loaded this video I loaded this video into Adobe Premiere Pro, where I was able, as soon as the cell phone video activated, I then aligned the audio for that particular cell phone and then exported that out as a viewable MP4.
But this specific one, it was just the body cam video.
That's correct.
Now we go now, you talk about, this is going to be exhibit 5, I believe. Exhibit 5. So kind of before we get into it, when you talk about sequential, can you explain to the jury what the sequential images is? What is that? What does that do?
So when you do sequential images,
That's right where I'm at, Malcolm.
turns
That's exactly
video
where I'm at.
into just a long string of individual images, basically in essence creating a flip book, if you will. I initially was asked to slow down the video, which I would not do, because when you slow down video, it changes the perception of what actually took place. So I provided this, per their request, I provided.
Can somebody tell that to the Delphi case?
We talk about sequential images.
Right.
We'll going through it right now. This is the initial body cam, just from the body cam. This isn't a multi-view, this is just from the body cam.
Correct.
Is
Down there on the bottom, that
court
would be
feed
the
too
frame
loud
number
compared to our voices? Let
pertaining
us know in the
to
chat.
frame number in the video.
So this is just like you say, it's like the flip book you use to do with your kids.
Correct.
How are you able to get each frame? You got 3202, 3204. Can you describe for the jury how you're able to do that in a digital type of?
So I'm able to do that using software AMP5. There's a filter called Sequence Writer.
Let me take the audio boost off. So the morning feed was really quiet, and I think they got my messages, my like 12 of them, telling them that the audio feed was horribly quiet, and they boosted it so loud. But I wanted to answer real quick. Somebody had said something about a bench trial. Was it Malcolm? This is a very conservative district, though, so I'm not sure a bench trial would have been a good option, just because it's a very Republican, very religious, very conservative part of the state. I like the jury idea for this.
Apply that filter. I can then put in a particular frame number for it to start and end. And then I can export those out as a BMP image, a bitmap image into a folder.
So in terms of when you say a bitmap image, this is just, that image is each one of these.
Correct. This would be, if you were to watch the video.
Yeah, Grand Rapids.
In that video, all these images.
If you guys know the name Betsy DeVos, who was the Department of
you
Education chief under
this-
Trump
this section, if you
1,
will?
the first
Why this
administration,
section?
she comes from this area.
It was provided to me by the investigator.
And that family runs the
His
town.
request.
So when you're talking about, you're talking about Detective Schurr.
Yes.
It's where Gerald Ford came from. His presidential library is there.
And that's where it kind of stops there. You didn't do the whole incident for this entire thing, did you? You weren't able to do a sequential image from the start to finish.
No, there were
You know
multiple.
what? That's a good question. I want an answer to this one, Nick Lass. In Sweden, would the cop already be in jail?
No, our self-defense laws are more or less zoned in to allowing cops to do more or less whatever they want.
No, that seems fair, fun, and safe. I can't wait to go back there.
Hmm?
I can't wait to go back and mess with the cop.
Sections. I was given a section.
There a case a couple of, well, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, where there was a kid with Down syndrome playing with his toy gun, and then he walked out of his home and yard.
Yeah.
Somebody phoned it in. Oh, I see somebody with a gun. And the cop showed up and shot him with 6 bullets. Down syndrome with an obvious toy gun. You know, one of these plastic guns that you had when you were a kid. More cowboy rifles with a,
Yeah.
And
they would side with the cop. There was actually protests outside the courthouse today for the cop. Most people outside were waving the blue line American flags for the cop.
yeah, and most of them were 60 plus and really, really white.
It's about the community there. Yeah.
One point, and then a few months later, I was asked to do more.
So this exhibit is specifically the body cam. We go down to exhibit 6 now. We specifically look at the
Yes.
through this. Is there any difference in terms of the cell phone versus the body cam to do these sequential?
No, it's the same process.
Oh, hey, Lolita Smiles. No, we took a break for a couple of hours and we're back again. We're going to start tomorrow at noon and go for the rest of the day. And we'll be covering this all week. So if you guys are tired of the Karen Reed crowd, join us over here.
Section. Is this in conjunction with Detective Schurr as well?
Yes.
I don't think there's no sound here. Are you able to do this with sound?
No, not exporting images.
Not downtown snacks. More in the suburban area. It's very religious. You've got a lot of churches, like a lot of judges and everything are like, if you want to go meet a judge outside of court for some reason, you go to church.
Box that appears.
You know, that kind of place.
Can you tell the jury what we're looking at here now?
So this is a filter that you can apply called Magnify, and that is magnified at 200%. So
He's not enhancing it though,
and
right?
Kind of the process with that is
He's zooming in.
you draw the black box, tell it the area that you wish for it to magnify, and then it can be pulled outside, and then that box can be applied just so that it shows that area of focus.
Does it change anything? Does it change the video? Does it change anything about what you're doing? You magnify it all?
Yes, when you magnify, you are in essence changing. It will enlarge, but it has to make up for those areas that aren't there anymore, which is a interpolations, they call it.
So it's adding pixels that didn't exist in the original video. This is the problem with this enhancement stuff, is it's adding to the evidence. It's not like a photograph.
Got it.
Hocus pocus out of focus. Exactly. Hocus pocus out of focus.
Yeah. Scotland has this really. They have three.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah, 3 ways: guilty, not guilty, not proven. And
And so that
I think that actually now not proven. Yeah, you will still live with the shame, but you won't spend your life in prison.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that as a compromise to be like, yeah, we think he's guilty, but the state just didn't prove it as a way for the jury to save face. It might be beneficial, but
There's some
we just
changing in the
combine
pixels
not
act,
guilty and not
that was
proven.
just after the shot was heard,
Yeah.
The change of the pictures, would that be the casing, if you will?
possibly.
Not in Ireland, some Irish.
So essentially, that's
Scotland.
the moment the shot was fired would be right about here.
Or around that time, yes.
Yeah, see, that doesn't look good, Nick. They're going backwards now.
Yeah.
Oh, no, was that forward? That was forward. They're just going frame by frame.
There's one more.
And
That
trigger
just does
warning.
not look good.
Yeah. That is the situation which I have the most problem with, because at that very point, the
So that this was just a request
suspect
of
is flat on the ground,
Well,
laying
Bronca
down.
always says, he says,
all right.
make
prior to the
yourself
body cam
hard to
turning
kill
off
and hard to convict.
was the
If
request.
this cop had just stepped up and trained the gun on the suspect, and the suspect made a move towards the
Yeah.
officer, it would have been so much of a cleaner self-defense argument.
Yeah.
Right? But all he had to do was stand up.
Yeah, push the guy down, take a few steps.
That's all he had to do.
Yeah.
Especially if this taser he knows is discharged and he can't be hit with it unless the guy makes contact with him, then just stand up, take 3 steps back. It would have been such a cleaner situation. And you might not even have had to do it, right? But we're assuming the end result's the same, right? That this guy gets shot and killed. It's a lot cleaner self-defense. Like here, the dead guy is still standing. Yeah.
So that's where it stops there. That's about approximately the body cam turned off.
if I recall correctly.
But
Or
as the
I
prosecution,
had
the defense said in their opening statement, the jury also have to find the mindset of the officer.
Well, the state has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the officer himself personally was not in fear of imminent great bodily harm and death, and that a reasonable person in the officer's position would also not fear that. That's the burden that the state has. That's how that goes.
Yeah. And with the witnesses so far, the prosecution isn't real. But had they just played the video,
Played the video.
and then with this frame by frame, look at this.
Ladies and
Is
gentlemen,
this
we read.
really self-defense? And the prosecution rests.
They can, you can almost even defer to the officer's subjective intent. You still have to meet the objective intent, right? And objectively, I don't see it.
Good afternoon, Detective Batchelor.
Good afternoon, sir.
My name is Matt Borgula. I represent Christopher Schurr. All right, so I just had a few questions for you. You testified about the timing of when the sound comes on, and I want to clear that up a little bit. You've reviewed a lot of dash cams.
It's been a few.
Yeah, your job is a forensic examiner of videos, right?
Correct.
Okay, and there's a lot of body cams too, right?
There is, yes.
And so, in your experience, the dash cams, the body cams, they're always on, right?
I don't.
Well, if the officer's out and about, they're recording, but they're not just saving everything, right? And if you don't know the answer to this, then
Yeah, I don't know the timing before. I know, if I'm not mistaken, that there's a lag to where if it's activated, I believe there might be like a prior storage in essence, but I'm not.
would we be better asking someone who is familiar with the body cams and dash cams from JRPD?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not going to ask you about something you don't know about. Okay, so you I think that you
I
shortened
don't
one
think
of the
the
videos. and that was
prosecution
the
wants to call
Yes.
the local
So
precinct
there's more
tech
to that
guy.
video than what was displayed for the jury, right?
That was the other thing too. Before you got on, a little bit when you got on, we were listening to the preliminary examination with the captain testifying, and the captain was testifying very favorable to this officer. So
Hmm.
if you get any local cops on the stand, I think they're going to be very favorable to the officer.
Yeah,
Yes.
And it involves the people that. the
for
officers that
better
show
or
up.
worse.
And all-
Yeah.
Yes, all the additional responding personnel.
Okay. And now you talked about how you took your the videos and you broke it down into sequential images.
Correct.
And you mentioned something about how,
I don't know
Well,
the
just
Kim
slow
Potter
motion.
Derek Chauvin
because
case.
that doesn't reflect what actually
That-
happened in real time.
Correct.
Wasn't that
Kim
slow motion? Just
Kim Potter was the police officer that yelled taser, 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 meant to draw her taser, but drew her gun and accidentally
Oh.
shot the guy. And then Derek Chauvin was the officer with the knee on the back of the guy, and he
Oh.
died with the knee on his back. Yeah, that was
Okay,
those were
yeah,
those two
that
cases.
can be. Well, then we already know what he will say.
Yeah.
like a flip book, just one at a time.
It could possibly be that.
So that's not real time either. That's just broken down in each frame.
Correct.
Okay. And there's nothing wrong with slowing it down, right? You're just saying that's not how fast it took, right?
There are instances where it may be more appropriate than others.
Okay. Did somebody ask you to do the sequential images?
Yes.
All right, now, do you know what a relative frame number is?
Yes.
Okay. When you did your sync video, the one with the 3 cameras, did you do a relative frame number on your video?
I did. Well, I provided, and I believe it was after the prelim, it was brought up that there were some frame numbers on the videos, which I did not do on the initial round, but I put frame numbers on my later portions.
Okay, and the ones we just saw doesn't have those?
Just, no,
Okay. All right. So there's no way to refer to them by relative frame number?
correct. Based on those videos, correct.
The sequential videos that are part of the exhibit, how many actual pictures are there?
I'd have to look at my report or count them.
Is it more than 100?
Yes, there was.
Mr. Cross is kind of boring.
Yes, I want to say it was over 1,000.
Okay.
Cumulative.
Yeah,
It was a lot.
I'm not.
And, the body
So
cam
sure
goes off. You don't know anything
what
about the
this
body
actually
cam goes
brings.
off either, do you?
No, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not
Thank you.
sure.
Thank you.
Just want to, in terms of the slow motion use, I thought your initial testimony was slow motion. You didn't want to do slow motion because it's not appropriate.
That's correct, because it's still, because if I put a video in slow motion, while it's in action, it slows down what the actual video was.
But then you said sometime you thought it would be appropriate. That's what I thought I heard you say. Not quite sure if I understand.
At times, there could be an instance where it might be appropriate to do so.
But in your view, this time is not.
Correct.
And why not specifically in this instance?
Because this is a use of force case, and slowing down and changing the perception of what's happening could be detrimental to the court.
All right, thank you. And then follow up on that? All right, so I guess I don't.
But also it is
taking 1,000 images.
Putting
and-
shame on the judge for allowing
So it goes frame by frame by frame by frame.
the frame by frame.
No, I would say that a slow-mo is it playing in a video, but at a slower rate than what it was intended to play. Whereas a sequential image is just an image that can be looked at individually, which are the frames. Individual
And the
frames.
concern is you want whoever watches the video to see how the actual speed in which things took place.
Correct.
Okay. Because that was the perception of the people that were there.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. Nothing further.
Jury questions?
Okay, Your Honor.
No jury questions. Not a single jury question yet.
That's a bit. I was hoping for many jury questions, or at least some jury questions, because that could mean that we could have a bingo card once
Yeah.
Mr. Schurr takes the stand.
All right.
Oh, I recognize her.
Could you state your name and spell for the record, please?
Jessica Beaudry, Beaudry.
And you can tell the jury what you do for them.
I'm a crime scene technician with the City of Grand Rapids at the Grand Rapids Police Department.
And what are your responsibilities as a crime scene technician?
As a crime scene technician, we respond to all sorts
Or
of
she
calls.
just
We
looks
take
like
photographs
many
of evidence,
other
collect
crime scene
evidence, assist
investigators.
officers in any way that's needed.
I'd like to take you back to April 4th of 2022. Did you get called in to take photographs of an incident that occurred with the grounds with the police officer?
Oh my
Yes, I
God, we need this.
Tell the
We're
jury
gonna
exactly
get gun
where'd you go and what
experts.
did you
We're
do?
gonna get medical
That day, I
examiners.
was requested
All
to
this is
go
gonna
to
be
the training
stipulated
unit, which
too,
is
but
on
we're
the
still
third
gonna get
floor
it.
of the police department.
And that is
It was
why I
requested
like to
Officer
start a little
photographs
bit
of
later
Officer
so we can speed up.
That was because he was involved in an officer-involved shooting.
Yes, sir.
And just to be clear, this officer that you took pictures of on that day, you see him in the court today?
Yes, I do.
Could you point him out, describe something he's wearing?
He's sitting over there. He's got a navy blue suit on.
Let the record reflection of the thing.
Oh, we get a break coming up too.
Now, what is the purpose of you taking pictures?
Anytime one of our officers is involved in some sort of incident, we like to take photographs to show their overall appearance, what their clothing may look like, any of their items that may be moved or misplaced.
This actually might be interesting. I wonder if any of his uniform is torn.
The 22nd?
The 22nd? Of April 22. April
Oh, yes.
2022. Yeah.
Yes.
So, but you took pictures in the training room right after this incident happened.
Yes, sir.
And part of it is to kind of accurately give a depiction of what the officer looked like after this incident.
That is correct.
I'll put up now exactly exhibit what it marked as exhibit 13. And you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
And what is this a picture of?
This is a photograph that I took of Officer Schurr.
These are dim lights, please. In terms of, that's I could ask for admission down here. This is a picture that you took and you recognize this picture.
Yes, I do.
And there's a series of photographs that would be
A bullet to the back of the head.
21 that are
would be the
photos you
cause
took.
of
You took
death.
a number of photos like this on that day.
Yes, I took multiple photographs.
Acute lead poisoning.
All accurate depictions
Yeah,
of what
yeah,
the
yeah, there we
officer
go,
was
acute
told
lead
so forth
poisoning.
that this incident occurred.
That'd be correct.
All right, so purposes of that move for the addition of exhibits 13 through 21 then?
He's like 33. The cop is 33 or something, right about there, Sherry. Oh no, they haven't gotten into the ballistics yet. I'm not sure what the caliber was.
The cop was 31 when it happened. I saw earlier.
Okay, so he's 31. Yeah, because I knew he looked young, and he was 33 or 34 now, so that makes
Now,
sense.
first, did you start with, is this when you start with essentially, is that how you go through your process, if you will?
Yeah, we just usually start with a profile shot and photograph from there.
What is it, 14? You recognize this?
Yes, I do.
And this is, can you describe exhibit 14?
This is a photograph of the entire front of the uniform.
Tarek, I can't see it. Testified to what the condition of the
15,
uniform
we're
is.
looking at here for the record.
A side profile.
Which side are we looking at?
His
Why
left.
is this necessary?
Here for the record, yeah.
Sorry.
We can all see it.
Well, like I said, I was wondering if there was like torn
The right profile?
clothing, you know,
17?
or something
back.
else that would.
Is it 18?
Those would be the tops of his hands.
Is it 19?
Ladies,
would
are
be
those
his
hands
right
doing
wrist.
it for you?
Now, seriously, why?
I mean, if he has injuries,
Move around here, what was the
how does that speak to the state's
So
case?
when an officer is involved in an incident, we
Well,
usually
that's-
ask if they feel like
that
they
was
have any
kinda my
injuries
thought,
because we want to document
I want to
those.
hear what Cross.
He did indicate to me that his right wrist felt sore, and when I examined it, it looked a little swollen. So I used the scale to highlight that and photograph it.
Where, there's a laser pointer up there. Where is this? You show where the swollenness is?
To me, it appeared red in this general area and slightly swollen.
The exhibit 20, what are we looking at here?
That would be the inside of his hands, the palms,
Find the exhibit 21, what are we looking at here?
the left side of his face.
Why do we take a closer to the left side of his face?
If you can see, and I'll use the laser pointer, there appeared to be some dirt and debris kind of here and here and here.
So there's dirt debris on there, so I'll get closer.
Yes, sir.
Now, we don't have a picture of, did you do anything with the duty belt as well?
Yes.
What is the duty belt? What exactly is that?
So the officer's duty belt is what they wear around their waistband. It contains all of their equipment, like their handcuffs, their firearm, their taser, stuff like that. Anytime an officer discharges his firearm, we do what's referred to as a round count, and we also photograph all of those items. So in the presence of multiple officers, we would have performed that round count, photographed it, and photographed the duty belt and all the items that were either there or not there as well.
So everything was in order, if you will, in his duty belt?
No.
What was wrong with it?
The taser was missing. Obviously, the firearm was also missing at that time. But as far as its
Wait, why was
condition,
the
it was-
firearm missing?
Thank you. I'm going to do that.
Curious to see what Cross has to say. They keep switching up the audio. It's really annoying.
Good morning.
Good morning. Afternoon.
Sorry.
So you took photos of Chris on the day of the incident?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And had you talked to Chris, or did you know Chris before the date of the incident?
Yes, I did.
And you talked to him that day?
I did.
Okay. Did you notice anything about his demeanor that day when you talked to him?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Normally, Officer Schurr is outgoing, happy, kind of just overall excited to be at work, I would say. And during this or after this incident, he was
Really?
just quiet and didn't really speak very much.
Would you expect him? He just shot and killed somebody.
And during your interaction with him, you photographed, and we saw some of the injuries that you had photographed. Was there anything in the photos that you haven't had a chance to explain about his injuries that you were aware of that day?
The overall photographs for me were more to show the mud and debris on the uniforms, and then on his hands as well, there appeared to be minor scratches.
And you mentioned that you conducted round counts.
Yes.
And you were present for that?
Yes.
And why do you conduct round counts?
It's the department's procedure to conduct a round count anytime a weapon is discharged, so that way we can account for the number of cartridges they should have, things like that.
And with the firearms, is it true that during high stress situations, officers typically do not remember how many rounds are fired?
I believe that is true, yes.
And is that partially in part of kind of the rapidly evolving dynamic situations?
She's going way beyond what a crime scene technician can testify to.
She talked about the round counts, and this is part of. I was asking about kind of the purpose of doing the round counts. I don't remember exactly what I had said.
She started getting into why officers don't remember in terms of how many shots are fired, which is beyond what a crime scene technician.
That would be beyond scope. I believe she answered that question that you just.
I wish I could hear the judge. That would be great.
You
Camera
didn't
crew.
examine Officer Schurr without his uniform on, right?
That is correct.
All right, nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure I'm clear in terms of, you go back up there. You talk about, I thought the question was, there's things you missed or you weren't able to talk about. You took a picture of his hands, right? There are injuries on his hands.
Yes.
I'm going to show, this is Exhibit 18 again. So these are the injuries you saw on his hands.
Yes.
You didn't miss anything. You weren't allowed to stop and take any pictures or anything on his hands, right?
No, they are shown in the photographs. We just did not discuss.
Okay, that you didn't discuss it, but these are accurate to the injuries you saw.
Correct.
And even on, just make sure, this is the one injury Exhibit 19 that you kind of saw yourself.
That he had pointed out to me.
Gotcha. And the Paul, just nothing on there.
Correct.
Just want to make sure that it wasn't like there's something you were missing, you didn't take any pictures of. I have nothing further.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
This is a wasted witness.
I don't see any hands raised on the jury. May this witness be excused?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Somebody needs to mic the judge tomorrow.
Can you take a little break now?
Call in and complain.
You know what? I'm going to.
We may want to bring up something if we want to.
All right, taking a break.
So when you take a break, and that should go along maybe 15 minutes or so. It'll be our afternoon break, something that's early, but meanwhile.
Defendant's proposed exhibits that we may streamline the week.
All right, we skip past the break.
Is there any particular order? We have them a little bit out of order here. Do we need to be start with defendant A, or can we just go with whatever letters are already labeled?
Whatever letters you already have, they should already be marked before now, and I've already admitted.
Okay.
Exhibit A through. And then, so yeah, they can just be whatever they label. Anything else?
Nothing here.
No, thank you.
I am so happy I finished the Prosecco on Saturday. All right, we got to bring in the jury. I thought they did that already.
And before you take your seat, please raise your right hand and repeat this statement. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Sir, could you state your name and spell it for the record, please?
Yes, my name is Detective Sergeant Aaron Tubergen. That's Aaron and Tubergen.
And what agency are you Detective Sergeant with?
The Michigan State Police.
And they're not going to call any local guys.
How did you get involved in this case? Maybe that's a kind of a broad question that you can go with. How did you get involved?
Yes, I was at home. I wasn't scheduled to work that day. I received a call from my supervisor, my detective lieutenant, who informed me briefly that there had been some sort of officer-involved shooting in the city of Grand Rapids, and he asked that I respond to the scene.
And did you respond to the scene?
Yes, I did.
Do you have any idea of what time you would have gotten there?
It would have been closer to 10 a.m., I believe.
As a detective, at that point in time, you know you're going to be the lead detective, if you will, or was there other detectives there?
There were other detectives there, but I was formally assigned as the officer in charge. During a phone call, at some point during my drive over there, I knew I was going to be the lead investigator.
What are your sort of responsibilities as you get to the scene? What do you do?
Initially, we try to get the preliminary information, the gist of what happened. The size of our scene, we're looking to preserve physical evidence, digital evidence, witness information, and any other statements that might be pertinent to the case.
And obviously you can't do it all on yourself. You had other people assisting you with getting witness statements and so on and so forth.
Yes.
Now, part of it in terms of getting to the scene, you've had an opportunity to take a look at the people exhibits 8, 9, and 10, correct?
I believe so. I'm not sure the number exists at this point.
But in terms of these exhibits, you recognize those are photos did you take them or did somebody else take them?
Again, I have to see exactly which of those exhibits. I believe I took those photos.
All right, we'll bring up here. Oh, okay.
Are we certain that this gentleman died?
And in terms of that, these photos were taken on scene?
Yes.
Were these photos actually taken by you?
One of them was, another was by a trooper that I was working with.
But all of those accurately depict the vehicle and what you saw when you were on scene as well?
Yes.
I would move for the addition of exhibits 8, 9, and 10, Your Honor. Okay.
8, 9, and 10 are now admitted.
And just so you can put it on the screen, please, you can switch it over to us, please. So we're at exhibit 8 here. This is the car that was involved in the incident, correct?
Yes.
And you didn't move it, and nothing was done with this at this point in time. You just took a picture of it there.
Correct.
Now, what are we looking at here? Exhibit 9.
That's a rear image of the same vehicle to include the license plate.
Now, the license plate is kind of an important part of this case, if you will.
Yes, it is.
Why is that?
Because the Secretary of State registration information associated with that plate does not match the Nissan car.
Okay. And I'm going to go to exhibit 10. Can you tell me what we're looking at here?
Yes. So upon arrival on scene, at one point I entered Officer Schurr's patrol vehicle. I was still in the same location that had been left. I noticed that his in-car computer, which most patrol cars have, was
everyone goes sub to lefty.
And this is the screen that I observed. I'm familiar with a similar system that the state police used when I worked on the road and in a patrol car. And this is an access terminal for, among other databases, Secretary of State information. So when I saw this, I immediately recognized that the license plate on the Nissan had been run in the system. And then the record that came back, it even says year 2015 Ford Fiesta right on there.
Laser pointer, that may help.
Laser pointer, yeah, I'm pointing with my finger. So 2015 Ford Fiesta with a VIN that also did not match. And I'm not wearing my glasses, but the query that prompted all these responses is the license plate that I saw in the Nissan that was parked in front of the patrol car.
So this indicates you that the license plate was run, showed up bad, and that led to the stop at the point.
I believe so.
You can switch off our computer right now. Now, in terms of other things that you did, and all these videos, were you responsible for obtaining the videos? Can you give the jury a little bit of background how you got the videos that we've seen at this point in time?
One of our primary goals, one of my primary goals, was to preserve all the digital evidence involved on the scene. I would receive assistance from my partners in canvassing the area, looking for doorbell cameras, security cameras. We were aware that a body-worn camera and a dash camera were also involved. Early on, we learned that the cell phone video may also exist. So I made efforts, either myself or through my partners, assigned them to preserve, locate, and obtain video.
So one of the things you talked about was a doorbell video. We haven't seen one yet. Were you able to find a doorbell or security camera video from a house in the area?
I was informed by one of my counterparts at DRE, a detective, that they obtained some short video files from a doorbell and security camera system from the residents across the street from where this happened.
And so did you go about to obtain that to make sure you had anything that actually showed what happened?
Did you guys
Yes, I
hear the
requested
teeth?
those be sent to me, and I received those
You
while
hear
I was
the
still on
teeth?
scene.
And you got an opportunity to review that, and that would be People's Exhibit 11 then?
Yes.
Now, if we go back to that first. Before we get into it, it's kind of divided up into 3 separate films, if you will. Is there the 3 different videos? Can you explain why it's like this?
I believe initially I received 17 separate clips. That extended long before the incident and also after the incident. A lot of the videos were overlapping, redundant to each other, but only a few actually captured really the main incident at hand.
And so that was, you were able to break that down and capture those of what the incident, exactly what happened during the incident.
Yep, and I believe they had to be broken down to a suitable size to be shared even while they were on scene.
Because it was so large of a file.
Very.
I'm going to play now these parts of the Exhibit 11, Your Honor.
They're taking every opportunity to play all the video. Let's play all of the video. Oh no, this is the ring camera. Sorry, I thought they were replaying the earlier video. I agree, Gigi. These are choices he made, and I'm not a fan of them.
No! Let's go, Taser! Let's go, Taser! Stop, Taser! Get back!
Did they start it over? I feel like
Yeah.
they started it over. Or is this?
No, it's the same. They just started over.
That seems
That's weird.
And here comes the backup that he radioed for 4 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
One of the things the Detroit Police Commissioner commented about is that in Detroit, they're trying to have 2 officers per patrol vehicle to try to eliminate situations like this.
Yeah. See the question, did the victim know what was going on? He was drunk out of his mind, so
Yeah,
probably not.
he had a .28.
In terms of when you get to the evidence, part of what you do is
Ridiculous.
seize things that are on site, correct?
Correct.
I'm going to show, there's a margin of 25. Show you what the marks is exhibit 25. You recognize that?
I do.
And what is this?
That is a taser Model 7.
Okay. And what is specifically, what is this taser model 7? Why is it relevant to this case?
It is Officer Schurr's taser, the center of this issue here.
Okay, so this was the actual taser that was used in the incident that I'm seeing.
Yes, it is.
What did you do with that? Why that was seized, obviously. What was done with it?
I observed it on scene when I arrived. It had not been moved by MSP prior to my arrival. It was clear during our preliminary investigation that possession of the taser was the main issue. And not knowing what other evidence was going to come to light, we wanted to preserve that for fingerprints and touch DNA evidence. So our crime scene response team, which is also with Michigan State Police, responded. And they're the ones that actually physically seized that item. And it first went to our crime lab in Grand Rapids.
And that was to get the fingerprints and so forth?
It was.
At some point in time, you kind of figure out that probably wasn't necessary to try and figure out what was the taser?
Once we were able to get some more of the videos.
This was so the testimony that we have thus far is that the plate was not registered to the vehicle. So the officer, that was the basis for the stop. That was sort of kind of around the testimony. It was also in the opening statements. Now, according to the testimony from the passenger, the vehicle was making a lot of noise and the driver stopped to get out and check on the vehicle. And then all of a sudden the cop was there. So they're both doing things separately, which essentially resulted in the guy getting out of the car, not knowing the cop was there as the cop is rolling up to pull him over for the improper plate. So that's sort of the excuse as to why the guy was getting out of the car, not to confront the officer, but he was getting out to check the vehicle and didn't even realize the officer was there until he got out. But the stop seems to be legitimate.
It was clear. We would expect Mr. Lyoya's fingerprints and DNA to be on the taser. So to expedite our investigative process, I requested to cancel the fingerprint and DNA analysis.
Go back later. Stick with us.
And download the information that is stored inside the taser regarding the use.
And then what happened with that taser? Where was it sent anywhere?
It was entered into our property. We have an evidence room that's secured at our work site. I requested one of my partners bring it back to the Grand Rapids Police Department where the information on the unit could be downloaded into a report. My partner facilitated that. We then took the device and we shipped it directly to the manufacturer to Axon for further analysis.
And so they could take a look at it.
I agree with you, Matt, that the reason why he got out doesn't change anything, but the fact that he got out,
as well as the body cam, and to
setting
analyze the
off
data.
a bunch of red flags to this officer, because in Michigan you don't get out of the vehicle.
But they can.
And Axon is also the one that manufactures the body camera as well. Is that correct?
In this case, yes.
So after getting kind of stuff on scene, this is over a period. It just doesn't happen all in one day, correct?
No.
How long are you working on this case, gathering evidence, if you will?
It's hard to say. I've had some items of follow up as long as years later, but the bulk of the investigation took place that month of April.
Now, part of that was also getting training records for the defendants, is that true?
Yes.
I believe these all been entered into evidence. I'm going to show you, just make sure. My stipulation, these are all the stipulated items, Your Honor, I believe. We're going to say Exhibit 24, Exhibit 30, Exhibit 31, Exhibit 32, Exhibit 33, and Exhibit 34. I believe those are all been stipulated to Your Honor in terms of, just for the jury's benefit, can you give the idea of what we're looking at here? What are these documents, if you will?
These are training records from the Grand Rapids Police Department.
Training records for who specifically?
Officer Schurr.
And how did you get these?
I got these via search warrant. I was able to obtain a search warrant and go directly to the Grand Rapids Police Department training unit and facilitate that search warrant and obtain these records that way.
Now, let's use Exhibit 24, for example. Do you have that in front of you?
I do.
Can you give it a little bit more of an idea in terms of the jury? It says 20-1. What does that mean? What are these records pertaining to specifically?
The 20, I believe, refers to the year. And I'm not a Grand Rapids police officer. I've not received training from their department. So some of these are generally apparent, and there's dates within these documents that this one is from 2020.
So 2020, and so what years are we covering here then, if you're talking about the training documents?
2020, 2021, 2022. There is a 2019 in here as well.
Okay. So it goes back a few years in terms of the records that they have in Grand Rapids Police about what training he under what.
Yes.
Now, you didn't get into them at all in terms of you kind of pass those along. You didn't do any analysis on them. That was not your role at this point. Then.
No, it wasn't.
You just see them and pass them along for other people to look at.
Correct.
Now, one of the other things, did you also do the video as well?
I did.
What was that video for?
It was a graduation video from the police academy for Officer Schurr.
And you had an opportunity to look at that?
I did.
And did that show the officer getting tased as part of the academy training?
It did.
And so that was kind of important to you asked that to be passed along as well.
Correct.
And now that is exhibit, I believe we're entered into exhibit 12, Your Honor, is one of the stipulations.
Yes, 12 is already in.
I would only note on that, I think there was a suggestion by the defense that there should be some redactions on that. Could we just approach for a moment?
Redactions. All right. Let's speed this up.
Exhibit 12 is the graduation video, but it's not the full video. It's a longer video, but it's been edited. And
I haven't seen the whole edited version of it. I've seen the complete video.
Why are they going to play the graduation?
This code is not. You've seen part of this, and there's edited that are part of this, but we're not the full video.
Correct.
Moving to play exhibit 12 now.
Just for clarification, when we say it's not the entire video.
Wait, please tell me this is a dig on the defendant looking a little feminine.
You want to play that published exhibit. Okay, you may proceed.
What? What?
Okay, so first of all, that's the song. I saw it come up. Who said that? Randy. Randy was like, copyright warning. I was like, what? What's coming up?
So they are playing the Beverly Hills Cop theme.
No, that's not Beverly Hills Cop. That's Alex F. This is
Is it?
No, this is Highway to the Danger Zone.
Oh,
this is
wasn't
Top
that
Gun.
in
Top Gun?
Oh, Top Gun.
Yeah. All right. It's still going. So it's funny. They have all these redactions on here. Just blue circles over the officers' faces. Why is this being introduced? Oh my God.
How is this even getting admitted into evidence? Is this one of these look at our brave cops.
Oh, okay. Here it is. This is why. Look at this is their graduation. Look, they're being trained how to use a taser. This is why it's being admitted.
Oh.
This is how to take down a suspect using a taser. This is so weird, though.
Yeah, but you can't compare it.
That's what he should have done to him. Why didn't he do that? Oh my God. This is like a high school reenactment.
But that is in a controlled environment where everybody knows what they are supposed to do.
The music was part of the video that you got. We didn't add that or anything like that.
Definitely not.
That was a video that, music came on that original video.
Correct.
Thank you for the heads up on that copyright notice. Yeah, that definitely would have demonetized us immediately.
Another good one.
Holy crap.
Not that. That was like the whole music playing and everything. That was ridiculous. I've definitely got to clip that though and put that out as a short.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
I'm gonna put the music back in for it.
Oh wow.
So, Detective, you mentioned that there initially was going to be a request for fingerprints and DNA to be conducted on the this taser here, correct?
Correct.
But that request was ultimately canceled?
Yes.
And because from the video, it was apparent that Mr. Lyoya had possessed the taser. Is that correct? And just in regards to a taser device here, do you carry a taser at times of you on duty?
I do not.
You, ever?
Not anymore.
This is probably general advice.
But when you did,
don't grab a taser.
does the taser that you would carry have some differences?
Oh, I'm still in the green, so that's good.
I just approached the witness, Your Honor. There's some differences to this exhibit taser. Is that fair to say? As far as battery and cartridges?
Which what exhibit is the demonstration? Exhibit 23. I'll put a sticker on there.
Different from the taser that I used to carry, or different from the taser that was used in this incident?
Different from the
Farrell, hello. So this is
Farrell.
Christopher Schurr, who's an ex-Grand Rapids police officer who's being charged with the unaliving of Patrick Lyoya, Lyoya? I keep saying it wrong. Anyways, he pulled him over in April of 2022. Then Lyoya started running from the officer. The officer tackled him to the ground, took out the taser. The suspect grabbed the taser. They were fighting over it for about 2.5 to 3 minutes. Until the officer then drew his service weapon and shot Lyoya in the back of the head. Now he's being charged with his unaliving. And it's actually kind of a gray area. I feel bad for the cop. I'm inclined to say not guilty, but I really think he's guilty. I don't think it's self-defense. So, yeah, it's FAFO a lot, So this officer might spend a lot of time in jail, but he's still alive. So don't grab anything. Yeah, don't grab anything from a cop if you want to be alive. Yeah, exactly. So there's all kinds of video. There's some Top Gun references and some music. It's a fun little case, but it's very much in the gray area. This is a case where I think, truthfully, honestly, if I'm guessing this, it's going to come down to the officer testifying and how credible he is. If he's credible, it's going to be an acquittal. If he's not, it's going to be a conviction. That's just where my gut is, because that's where I would be as a member of the jury.
Taser used in this incident.
Yeah.
See, that one doesn't have.
Wait till you see the video, Farrell.
Okay. Do you know
I'll
why
give you a highlight.
the taser we're using in court today does not have
That
those
this is our
functions?
thumbnail,
Yeah,
and this is the moment that the shot was fired. So that's the position that they're in. And that's why I have a hard time saying, oh, it's obviously, self-defense. So there you go.
Okay. Now, you've been a police officer for how long here in the state of Michigan?
12.5 years.
And under Michigan law, it's a felony to even possess a taser or similar electric.
I have no idea if he will. I
without
think he
certain
needs to,
license.
and I think
Is
he
that fair to
should.
say?
Correct.
But I don't know if he will.
To actually even just possess it.
Testify,
just
that
to-
means to defend it.
I think I'm safe holding it in court here, but if I don't have a CPL, if I don't have specific taser training, I can't even touch a taser under Michigan law, correct?
Correct. There are very few exceptions.
It's even more restrictive than a lot of firearms possession laws. Is that fair to say?
I'd have to weigh them in specific instances. Some parts are, some parts aren't, maybe.
Okay. So if I went outside of this courtroom, if I don't have a CPL, I don't have taser.
Well, he's a
taser
state
training, I
trooper,
cannot
so
possess
he's
it.
already got the
Correct.
creepiness factor.
When Mr. Lyoya possessed this taser, that was a felony violation, correct?
Yes, it would be.
Based on your investigation into Mr. Lyoya's background and whether he had a CPL?
Correct.
So
Now,
the suspect is
I just
committing
wanna
a
go through
felony.
some
The
of the
officer
exhibits
is
with
in
you.
the right. Up until the point
From the
that
workup
shot
of the
is fired,
scene here,
I think everyone can agree that the officer is in the right. Welcome, Ella. Good morning to you.
He has the Kohlbergers there.
He does a little bit.
Yeah, don't show this to Coffin Buffer because she will think he's a mass murderer.
Okay, look at those eyes. Look at those eyebrows. Where
Oh,
were
those-
you? Were you in
Where were
Idaho?
you? Yeah.
Were you in Idaho? Can you account for your whereabouts the night those 4 kids were unalived, sir?
Yeah. I mean, that stare into the distance that we have seen in Kohlberger, he has kind of the same stare. And in a
Bet
different
he's got a knife,
lighting,
too.
yeah, and in a different lighting, he has bushy eyebrows.
Those aren't bushy at all.
you responded to the scene of this incident.
We can
sometime
make
soon
it
after, is that right?
bushier, like
Approximately how
some
long
of what the newspapers did.
I may have been on scene an hour and a half after it occurred, give or take.
Okay. And did you have the opportunity to, I think you've already talked, you admitted some photos to see the Nissan vehicle where it was at the time this incident happened?
Yes, I did.
And then after, sometime later, does the vehicle get taken elsewhere?
Yes, it was towed to our 6th District headquarters at MSP.
Now, did you yourself or other MSP personnel take photographs of the Nissan both at the scene there and then also back at one of the MSP facilities?
Yes, we did.
Sir, could I just approach the witness with some defendants for both exhibits?
Say which ones they are. Like the-
I have defendant exhibit L1, L2, L20, and L15. Now, the parties have stipulated to these exhibits, do those appear to portray the vehicle at the scene or at the MSP facility soon thereafter?
Yes, they do.
And does that depict some of the contents within the Nissan?
Yes.
So where have you been all day?
You know others as you know yourself, right, darling?
Defendants exhibit L5, L6, L7, L12, and L13. What do those photos depict?
Deploy taser probes.
And does it also include some of the taser wires connected to the probes?
Yes, it does.
And were the probes and the wires, and we're going to get into this more with a taser expert, but were those found right around the body of Mr. Lyoya, right in the vicinity where the shooting took place?
Yes, they were.
And those were photographed by MSP personnel?
Correct.
Now, during the stop, as we watch it on video here, Officer Schurr stopped. At some point, Officer Schurr asked the driver for a driver's license. Do you recall that?
I do.
And is that common during a traffic stop that police ask for a driver's license?
Yes, it is.
Is a driver in the state of Michigan required to have a valid driver's license upon them?
Yes.
And when Officer Schurr asks Mr. Lyoya for his license, does he immediately pat at a pocket?
I believe he pats his pockets, yes.
And as a police officer, does that normally indicate that they might be reaching for their license or reaching for their wallet?
Could be.
And did Mr. Lyoya, was he ever able to pull out a wallet or furnish a license to Officer Schurr?
No.
Now, if I could just approach with defendant's exhibit L9.
Yeah, point to all the bad stuff that the Loyola did.
Was
because
Mr.
that's kind of
Lyoya's
important.
wallet found at the scene?
Yes, it was.
Generally,
And was it located on or?
So it's legal to drink and then drive, but it's illegal to be under the influence of alcohol and drive. So there you go. You have to be sober.
immediately near his person.
Yes, it
And
was.
this guy was at a
And
.29.
after that wallet, I presume that wallet was taken into evidence by MSP.
Yes, it was.
And did you go through the content of the wallet?
Yes, I did.
Did you ever find a driver's license in the wallet
Yes, I did.
for Mr. Lyoya?
No, I did not.
Now, if I could also approach defendant's exhibit L10 and L11.
William, you're getting
Do you recall
thunderstorms, huh?
What those depict?
Yes, this is a car key to the Nissan.
And was the car key also located immediately near Mr. Lyoya's person?
Yes, it was.
Thank you, Hella, for the $7.99 Aussie bucks. Appreciate it. Is he a 3-hole wonder? Sorry, flashbacks. Well, no, he's a 1-hole wonder. He is a 1-hole wonder, unfortunately, not a 3-hole wonder. But thank you very much for the $7.99.
Now,
I think that's
Detective
about
Tubergen,
6 cents.
as part of your investigation, did you go out and interview some of the persons that were with Mr. Lyoya earlier that morning?
I attempted to. I also assigned some of my peers to attempt some interviews as well.
And was that relevant to try to understand what Mr. Lyoya may have been doing that morning?
I believe so.
And could that have potentially shed some light on Mr. Lyoya's actions that morning?
Potentially could.
Did you also look into Mr. Lyoya's just his general history?
I did.
And driver's history?
I did.
And did you do a really thorough workup on Mr. Lyoya and his background?
I believe I did.
Now, from your observations of the video,
This is at 1.25.
did Officer Schurr give Mr. Lyoya
So-
several police commands?
Yes, he did.
And did Mr. Lyoya fail to follow those commands?
Yes, he did.
And did Mr. Lyoya resist arrest?
Yes.
And did Mr. Lyoya shove or push at Officer Schurr at times?
It appears so.
And are all of those felony law violations?
Felonies. Those are all
Yes.
felonies, yes. Oh, wait, I can't shove and push an officer? I can't grab his taser? These are all interesting things that I had no idea. Are we done? Are we going to get some jury questions for this guy finally?
Yeah,
The exhibits
I really, really want jury questions here.
7 witnesses.
L1, L2,
6 fully, and no witnesses or no questions.
L5, 6, and 7. L9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15.
We've only had one sidebar, and that was just to redact
L20.
some exhibits.
Yeah.
The ones you just showed me, or, yeah, okay, no objection.
And those exhibits will be admitted at this time.
That's all the questions I have right now. Thank you, sir.
No treehouse cats.
No follow-up, Your Honor.
And I don't see any hands raised on the jury in this witness case. No, it's just gonna go to the-
No jury questions here.
Thank you very much. You missed that now.
All right.
How are
7
we so
witnesses.
far behind? Well, we started late, and then we do a lot of pauses.
We're only 33 minutes behind. We're not that far behind.
Oh, we started 2 hours behind, so
I
that's
know.
kind of good.
Yeah, we made up some time. We skipped a lot of BS. All right, so we are on the 8th witness now. Let's see who this guy's going to be.
Yeah, I'm just looking here and see that you have 2 super chats, and I have 0.
You got more likes, though. You always wanted more likes.
Yeah, can it be the other way around? I'll give away the likes.
I'm new to the streaming thing. You know, they want to come.
Oh, yeah, you're retired.
Sir, could you state your name and spell it for the record, please?
Yes, Stephen with a PH, Cole, C-O-H-L-E.
Could you tell the jury what you do for a living?
Yes, I'm a forensic pathologist.
And what is a forensic pathologist?
Well, a forensic pathologist is a physician who specializes in the investigation
Is the guy dead?
of sudden
Yes.
and unexpected deaths.
Is the guy
and
dead? How
violent
did he
deaths.
die?
Those are the
Bullet
main
wound in the
categories.
back of the head. Move
And
on.
we do so by obtaining information, if it's available,
Yes,
about
the
how the
first
death
day.
occurred and where and so on, circumstances of death. The second thing is we examine the individual externally and look for a number of things, including injury, height, weight, and various physical features. The next thing we do is we do laboratory testing, which
Well,
can
this is
include
a somewhat
X-rays
reasonable
needed.
courtroom and
finally, when we
prosecutor.
have
So
all of the information back and we have completed our report, we certify the death as to the cause and manner of death. And sometimes there are other questions that may come up that we also try to make observations about that may be relevant to the death.
Could you give the jury a little bit of your educational background now? How do you become a forensic pathologist?
Well, first you have to go to medical school. So I attended medical school at Columbia and graduated there. I then trained for 4 years.
Want to skip ahead?
Yeah, we know he's qualified.
250 cases a year sometimes.
We don't. I saw a trial a few weeks ago when the CV of everybody, regardless, was done in 5 minutes or less.
And in that regard,
it was amazing.
I already skipped 10 minutes. Let's skip another.
Well, what we do, the first thing, as I mentioned a little earlier, is try to get information as to how the death occurred.
His CV will be twice as long than his actual testimony.
Because we have 8 investigators.
They just woke him up from out
for
back.
our office, and when there is a death that's reportable
We're
to the
running through
medical
witnesses.
examiner, again, usually violent deaths, sudden unexpected deaths, apparent drug overdoses, babies with unsafe sleeping, and so on. Whoever is in charge of the deceased person when they're pronounced dead has the obligation to call our office.
That was my
Usually
thought
this is
too.
if they're dead out in the field, it may be paramedics, it may be police. If they make it to the hospital, it's usually going to be an ER doctor or nurse. And so they will call our office. One of our investigators will respond, and depending on the situation, if there is a scene, and in this case there was, Mr. Lyoya was still at the scene. So they will usually respond to the scene, talk to the police, make their own observations, take photographs, and will produce a report that I use, at least mostly I use. I may have other sources as well. The police who are doing the investigation sometimes come in to observe the autopsy. And but mainly it's through our investigator. I'll get information as to how the death occurred, what are the circumstances. So it'll give me an idea of what to consider when I'm doing the autopsy.
Now you have this report. I'm assuming at some point in time the body is actually delivered to you. What steps do you take when you actually have the body to start performing the autopsy?
Well, when the body arrives, the body is almost always dead.
I know it's a sympathy gift. I'll take that as well. I'm trying to get my ass over to the United States in September.
Hey, Rosalind Duke got a membership.
Hey,
Ariel. Yeah.
John C. Purple Paradox, Factual Lie, Victor Mann, Bree, Mika's Headphones, Rosalind Duke, Ariel, Denise Sells, and Lizika.
There you go.
Thank you. Thank you, Dave.
Now they'll get notifications. And they'll get all your fun member videos.
Yeah. And yeah, definitely getting the notifications out. Now,
yeah, that's the big one. I think my memberships might be starting soon. I don't know if they've made it through the approval process, but I'm monetized again, so my memberships should be up and running.
I'm going to Utah and Miami this year.
Better than Arizona.
The body is put on an autopsy table. It's photographed as it is in the condition in which we received it. We then inventory clothing and jewelry. We then remove that and clean the body up if there is blood or vomit or other material on the body. We'll clean the body up and rephotograph it. And then in that second phase, if there are injuries that are, or other markings, but oftentimes it's injuries that are relevant, we will make sure we get a good photograph of those injuries. If someone, for example, is shot in the head, we'll shave around the injury so we can get a good photograph so that not only I, for future reference, but anybody else reviewing the autopsy can have material to review and give an opinion.
So in terms of that, when you did specifically with Patrick, this autopsy, did you notice any injuries or something? Did anything jump out at you when you performed your initial overview of the body?
Well, the main finding was that he had a gunshot wound in the back of the head.
So did you shave it as you shave his head to get a better look?
Yes, around the wound, usually for a diameter of several inches.
Why is it? Why do you have to shave?
Well,
what's the purpose of that?
If a person is shot in a hair-bearing area, then the hair can obscure the characteristics of the wound. And for example, when a gun is fired, Besides the bullet
Is
coming out the muzzle,
Arizona
there
and
will be
Utah
soot
close
and
by?
partly burned and unburned grains
Yeah, they're
of
right next to
gunpowder
each
that are
other.
blown out
Oh.
of the weapon, of the muzzle. So
Is
we want to
Arizona south of Utah? West of Utah?
Yes, west.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I'm going to be East Utah.
I was waiting for that. Hey, half Irish and Dolly Talk became members. Welcome, guys. Welcome back. Welcome back to the.
And Dolly is paying for his own membership.
I know. It's amazing. He must have won the lottery. That scratch off really worked.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come up with more. I got to get all the emojis, the member emojis back up. I just put the one, but I'll get those back up soon enough. I just got it set up like this morning while we were doing this live stream and stuff. So I'll work on that tonight.
see if this gunshot residue is present because it can give us some assistance as to the range of fire. So we want to shave all the hair from around the wound so we can identify such gunshot residue as present.
Now, when you're doing your autopsy, you at this point in time have to access any videos, anything of the incident. You just had to report. They don't give you a video of what occurred. You're just basing it on your report and what you find on the body.
Yes, at the time of the autopsy, there may be reasons later on to review relevant videos, but on the day of the
thank you,
autopsy,
Nick.
we concern ourselves with what we see on the body.
Look at that. We're just gifting each other memberships. Oh, Farrell's finally a member. So is Hella, Excited Utterance, and Lolita Smiles and Mads all got gifted memberships. Thank you very much.
Record showing opposing counsel into 35, but you're going to provide a copy.
They're not showing the autopsy photos. I
Pretty
hope.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as exhibit for People's 35. Do you recognize that?
I do.
What do you recognize that as?
Well, that is the back of Mr. Lyoya's head, and it shows a gunshot wound entering pretty much in the midline of the back of the head, and then we have shaved the hair around it in order to elucidate the features of the wound.
So this would
deep
be an accurate picture of
psychological
the wound as you
issues.
saw it as you gave you performing the autopsy.
Yes.
I move the admission of exhibit 35, Your Honor. Okay. Turn off the lights on your publisher, Your Honor. I think there's a laser pointer. Got it?
Hey, DSN.
I can tell you what we're looking at here.
Well, this is exhibit, I believe you said 35. This is the back of Mr. Lyoya's head. Of course, here in the middle of the shaved area of the scalp is the gunshot wound. And then we have, again, shaved the hair from around the wound.
Now, in terms of when you look in the wound, you talk about
Should have a
looking for
link to
gunpowder.
become a member
Did you
now.
find any gunpowder? What were the results of when you start looking?
Well, usually what would happen if there's gunpowder, the weapon is not going to be in tight contact with the skin or the body. It's got to be at least a fraction of an inch, often 1 or several inches away, usually, depending on the weapon, up to 3 or 4 feet. So we're looking really, what's most important is we identify the wound, and then we're looking at the skin around the wound. In this case, I did not see any gunpowder surrounding this wound.
Now, you do microscope when you say when you look at the skin around it, you're talking about the shaved area, if you will?
Yes.
Okay, so you never saw any gunpowder there.
Correct.
What does that
All right,
indicate?
I give you your green back.
Well, it indicates generally one of two things there, but it can get a bit complicated. It indicates either the wound is a distant wound, which would be greater than
Yeah,
say,
we're
3 or
going
4
pretty
feet.
quick.
That is, the muzzle to the person is
Yeah.
greater than 3 or 4 feet. It can also mean it's a contact wound in which the muzzle is up against the head, such that the gunshot residue is blown into the wound rather than being deposited around the wound.
So based on in your opinion, when you have the wound like this and no gunshot residue, what do you surmise from that?
Well, again, it could be, and I think it probably is a contact wound. Often, when a firearm is tied up against the body when it's fired, besides the bullet and the powder and the soot, which is blown out the muzzle, there's also going to be gas from the burned gunpowder. And that may split and tear the skin around the entry wound. That did not happen in this case. Just doesn't always happen. But
now, okay, so there's video of the shooting, and this guy says if it was point blank, there would be this and this and this. That didn't happen in this case, though, because it doesn't always happen. I guarantee if there wasn't video of it, he would be testifying as like, this is a clear indicator that it was at point blank range within a few inches of the skull.
Mm.
You know, that's how these guys testify, right? I've just found that interesting that he's like, it doesn't always happen.
Yeah, but Dave, one of the requirements for being a medical examiner or forensic medical examiner is that you enjoy eating sandwiches near dead people, right?
That's what I heard. Yeah. At least that's what the movies tell me.
Yeah. All the TV shows, all the things.
I sat
eating
in
sandwiches near dead people.
I sat in on an autopsy.
Did you have a
Oakland County
sandwich?
Medical examiner. I did not, but I could tell the people doing the autopsy would have been completely comfortable eating a sandwich around there. Me, I was freaking out. I was having you know, introspection and, you know, just weird thoughts in my mind, like I'm going to die one day sort of thing. And these guys are just like, oh, here, look at, here's the heart. Let's empty the stomach, throw it all in the garbage bag, throw it back in. Those guys would eat a sandwich over that body. I guarantee it. Thank you, O-Line Ren, for becoming a member.
Dropping in it, just dust it off. And
So again, if I were, another thing I wanted to add, when you're talking about range of fire and looking for the gunshot residue, if an item, piece of clothing,
it's a literal video of it happening.
The weapon and the person's body, even if the weapon is almost touching the body, that intermediary object can filter out gunshot residue. So that's just another consideration. We try not to be absolute in forensic pathology because there can be exceptions to the general rule.
So you didn't see any clothing or anything else in the wound here?
I did not. He was wearing kind of a loosely knit, I think it was a green sweater that did have a collared area on it. I don't want to get too much into the weeds here unless you or the defense has questions, but he was wearing that bit of clothing. And I will, and hypothetically, that may have, if interposed between the weapon and his head, could have filtered out some of this residue. I did not identify a hole, although it was loosely woven, but at the time of the autopsy, I didn't identify a hole. When I reviewed scene photographs, there was a possible defect in the back collar area, but I can't say for sure if that was, if that was made by the bullet or was already there.
Thank you.
I'm going to put a Discord link in the members only post.
So in terms of,
seconds.
You see that, do you do anything else? I mean, you see, okay, there's a gunshot wound in the back of the head. Are you done then?
Well, we continue with the autopsy. The question is several. One of the issues that we have to do is recover the bullet if it's still in it. Now, we take an X-ray, and that's
any of this relevant,
and we
Nick?
examine the body. So
No.
between those two, we can usually figure out if there is.
this is just prolonging the trial, making it seem they have more evidence than they actually have.
I mean, in theory, the defense probably hasn't stipulated to the fact that someone died, so they have to go through this rigmarole.
Can you retrieve that bullet?
Yes.
But
Now, even though you got this gunshot wound in the head, do you still look at the rest
I'm
of the
gonna
body?
Yes, we always do a
speed it
complete
up a little bit more.
just to see if there's anything else that could have contributed.
I don't
to
want
the
to
death.
skip it just
Or
in
even
case
sometimes
something
there's a
comes
fringe
out.
interest in the family. If we find a disease of the type that can be inherited, such as coronary artery atherosclerosis, especially in a young man like this, if he had significant coronary atherosclerosis, that would be of immense importance to the family because they may be at risk for developing that and having a heart attack at an early age. So that's just one example, but we just look for anything else that may be of relevance to the family or anything else that may have contributed to the death. Or in our toxicology screen, sometimes anything that might have altered the behavior of the person to make them behave in a certain way.
Now, going to that, I guess the first thing is, was there any other injuries? I guess anything pertinent, any injuries that you would have thought may have been important or caused during this incident?
No, there were no, there was evidence of remote injury, but there was no, and that didn't contribute to the death. And there was no other recent injury that would have occurred around the time of the death.
I guess that's why remote means
in the past, healed.
Okay.
Yeah, over with.
That's why I make sure remote to me can also mean from far away.
Oh, right. No, well, I'm thinking in the medical sense, we would say.
So there's old injuries, but nothing that was recent.
Correct.
Nothing of substance.
Right.
In terms of you talk about toxicology, what did you find anything in the toxicology?
Yes. The main finding was that he had very high blood alcohol. To put it in whole numbers, it's 290. And in the context, 80 or higher is driving while intoxicated in Michigan, and he was 290. Another fluid that we test that can act on a check of the accuracy of the blood for alcohol is we take the eye fluid.
Now,
and
this
that had a
needed
level
to
of
come in
So,
through someone.
Indeed, we can confirm that he had a high level of alcohol, or particularly ethanol, at the time he died.
Now, when you complete all this, you get the toxicology results. Do you come up with a conclusion in terms of the manner of death?
Yes.
What was the manner of death?
The manner of death in this case.
Trip and fall.
And what was the cause of death?
The cause of death was the gunshot wound to the head.
When you say the manner of death being homicide, can you tell the jury?
Acute
We have
lead
five
poisoning.
choices for manner of death, and the medical examiner is part of our job as medical examiners to make the determination. It's not a legal determination. In other words, just because I call a death a homicide doesn't mean somebody's going to be prosecuted. That's up to the prosecutor.
I
But
like that
we have 5 choices,
explanation.
which
That
is
was
homicide,
good.
Yeah,
accidental,
that's
suicide,
It was very
natural,
good.
indeterminate. And so we have to pick from one of those 5 for the manner. Those are mainly it's more of a public health issue for us as medical examiners. In other words, public health agencies such as the state or the Centers for Disease Control can take our data and use it to determine like how many deaths are accidental in the country or any population that they're studying.
I know the question, John.
So he didn't die from drowning in the rain. Apparently not. Not according to this guy.
Okay. I want to talk about some of your testimony. First, you indicated that the shot that killed Mr. Lyoya was in the back of the head, pretty much in the center,
Yes.
lower, and it traveled in a straight line to the.
I think it did. There was no evidence of ricochet.
Yeah, that's my understanding too, that the defendant had no knowledge of Loyola's intoxication. Although, like Nick said earlier, all cops smell alcohol, right?
Yeah, and this guy had 280, and he didn't sense or smell any alcohol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he smelled of alcohol. Now, I don't know if that came into the cops' calculations of this whole incident. I'm assuming he's going to testify, and maybe he's going to testify to part of that. So I don't know. I don't know. Was there an open beer in the car? I know there was questions about it, but I don't know if there was testimony actually indicating that there was open beer in the car. I might have missed that.
I don't know.
I've been in and out on phone calls and work, so I might have missed that. But that could be as well. If he saw an open intox and he smelled alcohol and the guy's fighting him. So it's pretty close to black. I would be blacked out. I'd be sleeping right here in the treehouse if I was at that level.
As a bullet can move around inside a body cavity, right?
It can, or if it hits a bone or something, it may deflect. There was
The
no evidence of
officer
that
was
type of
130 pounds. That's not right. He was 100 and something pounds. He's a pretty skinny guy. And I think the suspect was a lot more than that. But I don't know the exact weight.
The bullet went from the back of the head to the front.
Yes.
And then it went from.
Yeah, I remember he was asked. I don't remember the answer.
Yes.
And it went from a lower part of the head.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Because they had been partying all night, and then they slept for a few hours, and then they bought beer at 8 in the morning, and they were driving around drinking it. That's what his testimony was. And the guy was like, at 8 in the morning, he was like, yeah, well, you know, I'm old enough to drink.
And I believe before you pointed to the upper right part of your head as where the bullet didn't pierce the skin and leave, but that's where the exit wound would have been had it traveled just a little bit further.
Well, yes, it was found beneath the scalp. In other words, on the right side of the head.
So that
The only time I've been drinking at 8 in the morning, I start at 10 in the evening and still have beer.
I'm not very flexible, but the entry wound was in the back of the head in the midline where I'm indicating on myself.
Speaking of which,
And I've
on
recovered
Friday,
the bullet,
it's
on the
my
right side
birthday
beneath
stream.
the scalp.
All right.
And so that would be consistent with the gun that had an angle.
There may be a wheel of regrets.
He's right-handed. And the gun was
I'm going to
in
make
the
some
right hand.
sidecars for your birthday.
have it at an
Well,
angle.
that's assuming I'm
Either
invited.
the guns
But
at
I'm
an
going to
angle
make some
or
sidecars. if
Mr.
I can.
Lyoya's head may have been turning as he was
That was
shot.
my next question. If his head was turning, that would be consistent with someone turning to the left.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Now I want to talk about this contact.
It's turning to
wound,
the left, so it's in the
issue,
left side.
because you're suggesting that the gun, you believe, probably was right against the head.
Probably.
But it's possible that it was not right against the head, correct?
Right. Here's what I would say. Assuming that there's nothing in between the muzzle of the weapon, and that's an assumption. But if there's nothing between the muzzle of the weapon and the skin where the bullet entered, then in this case, I think it's most fair to say the options are: one, it is a contact wound such that all the gunshot residue was blown into the wound and not deposited on the skin because it's a contact. If it's not a contact, let's say the range of fire, and I don't know if you want to give hypotheticals or not. I'll start with one. If the range of fire is several inches,
After that, he has a dirty mind.
there's going to be deposition of gunshot residue, including soot and gunpowder. There wasn't any, as we can see in the photograph. So another
happy
option is that something
belated
was
birthday,
deposed
early
between
belated
the muzzle
birthday
of
to
the
your
weapon
mother.
and the scalp. He did have long dreadlocks. I think I estimated they measured up to 10 inches. So I think it's possible that the dreadlock or two might have gotten caught between the muzzle of the weapon and the head.
It's also possible the weapon was further enough away that you wouldn't find gunshot
Well,
residue.
if it were, and again, I wasn't there, I have information that I was given, but let's just assume I don't have any information. Sure, if it's beyond the range of deposition of gunpowder, which is again usually 3 to 4 feet with a weapon like this, a 9mm pistol, then I would say, yeah, it could be.
Girl,
That's,
she
you know, that's
wasn't
consistent
around,
with that.
so I couldn't say happy birthday.
And you didn't find any
She was
gunshot
alive.
residue on his
So
scalp,
it's belated.
correct?
Right, correct.
And you found none on the clothing.
I didn't see any. I did submit it to the laboratory.
And now, you mentioned that you looked at some of the crime scene photos.
Yes.
All right, I'm going to show you what the mark of identification is L23.
Yeah, that was interesting too.
Yes.
The passenger testified. He was like, "Well, where were you going? What were you doing?" He's like, "Oh, we were just driving around."
Yeah, we are very close. We are like brothers. What was his last name? I don't know.
I mean, I get it to some extent, but some of the answers were ridiculous. It's like, really? Okay.
Yes, yeah, I'm oriented now, and yes, the sweater and the collar, which could have been interposed, are shown here.
And yeah, because you mentioned in your testimony that there might have been some damage to the piece of fabric that could have maybe been in front of the bullet.
It could have been interposed between the bullet and the scalp.
Is this what you're talking about in L23?
Although the jury hasn't seen it, yes, I'm pointing out to you that there's what could be a defect. I just can't tell, which is why I submitted the clothing to the lab.
Okay. Do you recall if you saw any powder on the sweater?
I did not see any. I would have looked, but because of the weave of the sweater, it might have been hard to.
Did you see any burning or melting on the fabric?
No.
But you did request and watch the video?
Yes.
Now, you indicated that on your direct testimony that Mr. Lyoya had a blood alcohol level of 290.
Yes.
And a vitreous ethanol level. I think you said the eye level.
Well, vitreous is eye fluid, so it was 330. Yeah.
Is one more accurate than the other?
Well, blood is a little more accurate because that tells you exactly the level of alcohol in the body at the time the person died. Basically, a given level of alcohol in the blood will equilibrate. In other words, eventually it'll be the same level in the eye fluid. However, because of the time passage that it takes for that equilibration to take place, if someone drank, say, 2 hours ago and got a level of 100, it might take 2 hours for that level of alcohol of 100 to get into the eye fluid. By that time, the blood level's going down because the body's metabolizing the alcohol. So the point of all that is it's kind of useful as a check. They should be more or less in the same ballpark, the blood level and the vitreous. If there's a wide disparity, there may be an error, a lab error in the analysis.
Either way, Mr. Lyoya was well beyond the legal limit.
Yes.
Okay. Now, you also said you had checked for types of diseases. You found evidence of a fatty liver disease?
Yes.
And that would be consistent with someone possibly that drinks alcohol very, very often?
It would be indeed.
He was able to operate a vehicle at 0.28.
Well, they were
I would
on
imagine
him. And again, I saw these. I think they came in with the body.
a lot of
I saw the
alcohol.
scene photographs. There were these like cartridges, 2 of them, and a lot of tangled up wire. I didn't see any taser dart holes in Mr. Lyoya.
My next question is whether or not you saw that, whether or not Mr. Lyoya was hit with any taser darts.
No, I'd say no because I looked.
And the taser wires, they had blood on them?
Yes.
And did you send those to Michigan State Police?
Yes.
Okay, and for further testing?
Yes, if needed. Yes.
Nothing further. I know the question, John.
Jury questions? Oh, we have a jury question.
Hey, first jury question of the day, of the trial. Well, of the day as well.
Yeah. I slowed it down to normal
Do you know
speed.
what a hairbrush is? Or
Yeah, it's going to be the question.
do you eat sandwiches when you perform your duties?
I feel like his hair is perfect for a medical examiner, though.
Yeah. He is a person who is devoted to his job. He doesn't really care what his hair looks like.
All right, I'm turning this all the way up because this judge is always too quiet.
I'm not gonna have your approach, but I am going to ask that this witness may be excused.
You may, Your Honor.
Questions? The objection?
No objection, Your Honor.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Oh, it was an inappropriate question, apparently.
Okay.
Run out of witnesses for the day. Let me see what the judge's schedule is going to be for tomorrow.
So, and then you have the 3 left, right?
Correct.
Okay. All right, so what we'll do is we'll break a little early today. Sorry about that. And so meanwhile, please leave your notes upside down in your chairs. Don't be there in the morning when you return. We will resume at 8:30 tomorrow morning. And so meanwhile, please remember your restrictions to not
Take care,
access any
Aaron.
social media or any other type of media regarding this case.
Yeah, and Michigan jury gets to ask questions, which this was the first one out of all these witnesses thus far. Apparently, it was an inappropriate one.
Juror on the case, anything And we will see you all tomorrow morning. Hope you have a safe evening.
All right.
Nope. It ended. That was it. Okay. So we have no information as to what's coming next. All right. Well, what's coming next for Nick and I is tomorrow we're going to start the stream at noon, and we're going to power all the way through at 1.25 speed, unless we need to slow it down for some reason. But that's going to be the goal. And then just go straight through rather than breaking it up at lunch and starting early and then finishing up in the afternoon. With Nick's schedule and my schedule, we've decided that noon Eastern, 6 p.m. Swedish time is going to be our start time tomorrow.
Yeah.
We'll see how that
Yeah,
goes.
because then I don't have to rush home. I can get a nice nap in and then be all bells and whistles on stream.
Yeah. So after first day, where are we? Let's see what the polls say. I'm going to end my poll if I can get to it again.
Yeah, me too. I asked, as of day one, do you believe it was self-defense? No, 57%. Yes, 42%.
So my yeses one was 67%.
Oh.
And 32% said no. So that's interesting. See, this is where this trial is. It's very unsure where we're going. I want to hear from this officer. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
In this case, if he does good, he's going to get acquitted. If he becomes an asshole, he's going to get convicted.
Yeah, and I haven't heard him speak. I haven't heard anything. So I don't know. This will be interesting. It's not like other controversial cases where people are out there talking a lot. I have no idea what this officer's going to say.
No.
So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, but how? I mean, they are on witness number 8, and they are at the medical examiner. There can't be that many witnesses left.
I think the judge just said 3 more witnesses. This is going to be a quick trial.
Yeah, and so that means by noon tomorrow, this trial, the state will rest.
Will be in the hands of the defense.
Yeah, if they want to call him or not.
And and the defense though is mentioned that we're going to hear from various expert witnesses.
Yeah.
So the defense this would be one of those cases where the defense might actually go longer than the case in chief for the state.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Who knows? But it seems like this trial will be a 1-week trial, which is actually perfectly normal. Trials usually aren't longer than this.
Yes.
Even murder self-defense trials. Generally, this is it. It's just we are so used to these elaborate long trials.
18 months, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, the YSL trial actually isn't done yet. The remaining 3 defendants, their trial is in June.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
When you're in Arizona.
No, I mean I'm going there in September.
Oh, that's right. September.
Yeah.
I'll be in California.
I'll be in September, 2 weeks in Utah and 1 week in Miami. And in Miami, if the YNWMLE trial starts, I will try to attend that trial, the retrial of YNWMLE.
Nice. Well, tell your friends about this. If they don't want to watch Karen Reed, if they're not interested in it, if they watch the first one and they know how the second one is going to end up.
Yeah. Maybe we should name this not Karen Reed instead.
We need to definitely
for the people who are not interested in it.
Yes, not Karen Reed trial.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting trial, and I'm all for it. So thank you all for being here. We can't watch. You can watch both. You can watch both.
Yeah, of course you can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell your friends that there's another trial going on, because I think everyone thinks that only Karen Reed is going on.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow. I think I have the song queued up this time, so we're good. All right, take care, guys. Bye.
See ya.
2 screens light up justice calling from Sweden cold and Great Lakes falling. Placating fools, real talk streaming. Truth and laughter, crime redeeming. Raise your glass to law and jest. Trials not just pain and stress. Teach the world, grind the gears. Through the humor, through the tears. Michigan draw cutting sharp like ice. Swedish fire burns, truth precise. Shot of whiskey, sip of gin. Rules of justice we begin. Raise your glass to law and jest. Trials not just pain and stress. Teach the world, grind the gears. Through the humor, through the tears. Bang the gavel, crack the screen. Courtroom chaos in between. Wine and laughter, we all bleed. Streaming trials, feeding need. Layers of law, peeling truth bare. Laughs flow wild, do we even care? Chip on shoulder, beer in hand again. Together on this shaky stand. Raise your glass to law and jest. Trials not just pain and stress. Teach the world, grind the gears. Through the humor, through